everyone, Farmer Min here. Welcome to Oakfield Farm and this little tutorial, so to speak, of Geo Mods. I thought it would be interesting to do a look at each of the Seasons Geo Mods that are available to console. If you include the standard Geo Mod, you will have 9 different choices. You will have 5 by Realismus Modding, the makers of Seasons. You'll have 5 from them: Paraguay, Wales, the U.S. Midwest, Northern Sweden, Snowy Lands, and then 6 would be the standard Seasons Geo, the one that's built into the Seasons mod. There's also a Northern Italy Geo by AgriGamer15, and 2 recent ones, South Bohemia and South Moravia. Those are both by Zed. So let's take a look at the Geo Mods and what we can expect from each one. Each one is different. Each one has certain characteristics that go with their mod. For the most part, all these Geo Mods are based on a location. For example, the standard in-game one, which I am on right now on my Oakfield map, you can see I am on the last day of winter. I have a overabundance of snow, and I have 7 days of rain in the forecast. Not real good for spring planting, but we'll make the best of it. The standard Geo, I'm just going to refer to it as standard Geo. It would just be the Seasons Geo, is based upon weather data from the southern UK. However, the winters have been made much colder. So the southern UK is kind of a bigger area, so that's what you can expect with the standard Seasons mod, is weather that you would find in the southern United Kingdom. Now, each Geo, we're going to look at the Seasons map, this map right here. This is the one that I have. So as you can see, we should all be familiar with this. You have the number of days of the season that you are playing. I just happen to be on 9. That would change depending on how many days per seasons you are playing. We have our crops and the soil temperature that is required to plant them. So basically what this is going to tell you is when you can plant a crop and when you can harvest a crop. So the big question is it possible to basically do year-round farming, get 2 crops out of a Geo? And yes, it is possible on certain Geos. The standard Geo, you're going to see spring planting and fall harvesting, and in this case you have, well, besides oilseed, radish, poplar, or grass, you have 3 crops that you could plant in the fall: wheat, barley, and canola. So you plant them, they will start to emerge, and then they go dormant, and then in the following year they will continue growth, and then you can harvest them. So basically that's what I was telling you. There is also a difference that I see in required soil temperatures. So if you notice on the left, you know, wheat 41, barley 41, canola, and so on and so forth. The 2 big differences that I see would be in the soybeans and corn. Here in the standard Geo, you have 50 degrees as, now this is all, I know, I can't do both for the conversions, but 50 degrees for soybeans and corn. So basically that's what the standard Geo is going to give you. Now, your weather is random. So you're not going to be guaranteed the weather year-round. For instance, I have had a lot of snow. I have had a abundance of snow. More snow than I've seen on any other map in Geo that I've played, well, except for the two snowy ones, Snowy Lands and Northern Sweden. But you're not guaranteed snow. I have played this with Seasons, and I've had very little to no snow on the standard Geo. So we should all be familiar with that. But let's take a look at the other Geo Mods, and let's compare them to the standard one and what we can expect and what difference we can expect, because the big thing is, why would I want to play a different mod? What are the benefits? What can I gain from it? Well, I think my simple answer to that is, this is what I do. I put a geo mod on whatever map I am playing. The only ones that I have played is Snowy Lands, Northern Sweden, U.S. Midwest, the standard map, Paraguay, and Wales. I have not done Northern Italy in the 2 mods from Zed. I played Spectacle Island with the Paraguay map. You know, that's pretty much summer year-round, in my opinion. Snowy Lands, the only thing you can do there is poplars. That is pretty much snow year-round. That is also fictitious. There is no based on no certain location. Northern Sweden, you're going to have a lot of snow. Wales tends to be wet. The U.S. Midwest Geo, it bothers me that they Midwest, because Midwest could cover a big area, but that's based on a location in Missouri, so that is a mod, a geo mod, where you can actually get 2 crops out of the year, as well as Paraguay, you can as well, and the other 3 we'll look at. But let's take a look. So I'll be right back with you, and we're just going to go down the list the way that I had it written down. The first one will be South Bohemia, so I'll be right back, and we'll take a look at that one. Okay, here we are. Welcome back. We are on Graal. Graal. This is a Polish map, and this is the closest map that we have on console to go with the next 2 mods. The 2 mods from Zed, the Geo Mods, South Bohemia and South Moravia. I have the time sped up because I want to see. I thought that maybe you have to skip the night for all the trees to change when you first come in here. But you can see, came in here on the first day of spring and we have snow on the ground. I'm going to read you the description of South Bohemia. South Bohemia, the landscape of ponds with mild climate, rich in precipitation, ideal for wheat, barley, potatoes, silage, maize, oilseed rape, or sunflower and sugar beet. Okay, Bohemia is a part of the Western Czech Republic. So, in case you were wondering what Bohemia was, so you can think of the Czech Republic, that area, when you're thinking of the climate-based, the climate of this geo. If we go into the seasons thing, you're going to see that it's not entirely different than the standard one, and I'm going to put them side by side up here in a minute. But what I notice is, here you are, the first day of spring, you can already plant wheat and barley. The soil temperatures are warm enough, and as I pointed out earlier, look at the soybeans and corn. The required soil temperatures are 9 degrees warmer than, or 9 degrees less than what the standard geo requires. So you can see that basically you have, I would say, pretty darn close to the standard one, and we'll look at them both when we come up. You still have a spring planting, fall harvesting, except for oilseed, radish, poplar, grass, which you can do year-round. There is no sugarcane on this map, in case you are wondering that. So, yeah. So I think, you know, besides a few minor changes, it's pretty close. But if you go by the description of the geo, you can expect a mild climate with lots of precipitation in that. And I'll put them up both on the screen now, and we can take a look at that just for a little bit. Okay, if you look at the 2, on the left is my screenshot of just the standard Seasons Geo that I had from Oakfield, and on the right is the South Bohemia screenshot that I just took on Graal. When you look at them, the big difference I see is soil temperatures. You can tell it's a lot lower. 36 for wheat and barley instead of 41. However, canola has a higher temperature, 46, 41. So there is some difference in there. Big one between corn and soybeans. 41 degree temperature on South Bohemia, 50 degrees on the standard seasons. You can also see that the planting season starts a lot sooner on South Bohemia than it does on the standard seasons. And then if you look at harvest time, you have a much longer harvest period for certain crops on the South Bohemia one than you do on the standard seasons one. Not a whole lot of difference between the when you go down to the oilseed radish, the poplars, and the grass. Those are kind of the same. There is a little bit of a gap on the oilseed radish, but I'm just going to concentrate on the crops. You can notice that your harvest season is going to start sooner on South Bohemia and last a little longer. But other than that, those are kind of the differences. Season length, harvest season, planting season length, and minimum soil temperatures is the big difference I get out of the two of them. So pretty interesting. Okay, let's get back to it. I'm looking at the forecast on here, and in the next 7 days, there's only 3 days of rain, so that is relatively interesting, especially in a rich hey, Mr. Snowman, he just disappeared there. In a moisture-rich climate like this mod would describe. But that's what you can see. So not a whole lot of difference. Just like that, the snow is gone here on the first day. As I'm recording this, I don't know how long the two pictures are going to be up there, so I'm just trying to talk if they're up there. It makes it easier when you record on the console. But it is now 3:15 in the morning. The snow is gone. It is the first day of spring. The soil temperature is 50 degrees, so you could be planting right away with this geo. Standard geo, that is very, very rare. I don't think I've ever come across a time on the standard geo when I could be planting on the first day of spring. But here you are. If we update it now, yeah, you can still see wheat. Well, no, I must have read that wrong. Oh, 39 degrees. I'm sorry, the soil temperature. I read the air temperature. 39 degrees soil temperature, and there you do have a lower required temperature for wheat and barley, so you could be planting that as well. So that's pretty much that. We'll go take a look. We're going to go back on the same map here. I'm just going to load up the other geo and go through that. I don't think there is a whole lot of difference between the two after looking at them, looking at the two screenshots, but we'll do that now. Okay, here we are. Same map, girl. Same thing, I had the time sped up. It is the first day of spring. This time, I don't have any snow on the ground when I start. If I click on the forecast, there you see it. Let's go through and look at a description. Read the description of South Moravia. Is the warmest region in the Czech Republic, so both of these geos are from the same country. South Moravia is a region of wine, sun, folk traditions, and hospitality. Too bad FS17 doesn't allow us to do vineyards. Sounds like the perfect geo for that. Here you'll experience the sunniest days of the country, which is a very favorable for the countless vineyards. Sunflowers are also evidence of this warm climate. The screenshots on the Geo mod on the Mod Hub does not show snow. There's no screenshots of snow, so it'd be interesting if this place gets snow. Kind of doubt it just from what you can read, but if you go in and look at the thing, the menu, there are some differences that I notice. Your wheat and barley have a higher soil temperature requirement. Canola, for example, has a Because if you look at I'm going to compare these two, the South Bohemia and the South, this one. This one has a much warmer temperature requirement for canola. Actually, this one has 50 degrees. I think the other one, the South Bohemia, had 46. Other than that, I don't see a whole lot of differences between the two. I notice that is it potatoes? Potatoes have a earlier harvest season than South Bohemia. I think you're going to have a lot warmer temperatures on this one as well. So yeah, so it's very similar. Slight differences, and slight differences as a standard Seasons Geo as well. I will put both of them on the screen now. As before, Seasons, the standard Seasons will be on the left, this will be on the right, and I will do that now. Okay, I did this one a little differently. I took the two mods. So on the right, you see South Moravia. On the left, you see South Bohemia. To me, they look pretty darn close. I mean, pretty darn close. The big difference is, look at some of the temperatures, the minimum temperature required. 1 degree off on the wheat and the barley. 4 degrees off on the canola. And that's about it for the temperatures. So a slight difference there. You can also notice a slight difference when it comes down to harvest time on certain crops. Let's see, that'd be wheat, barley, canola. I'm trying to think which one this is. I can't see. I can't see. I'm trying to think which one that'll be. Corn, soybeans. Anyways, you can see the harvest time starts sooner on the South Moravia one, and the planting time on canola is extended on the South Moravia, but that's kind of about it. So these two Geo mods are very similar. Just on location, the southern area compared to the western area of the Czech Republic, but both mods are based on the same country, so they are going to be pretty darn close. But there you have it, and we'll get back to it. Alright, so there you have it. That is this South, why do I keep having trouble with the name here? Moravia. I want to say Moldavia, but it's Moravia. Another mod by Zed. Sounds interesting for certain maps, I think. Yeah, pretty cool. So those are those two new ones, the most recent ones that came out. The next one we're going to go look at will be north central Italy. So let's go jump into that right now. Okay, here we are. I don't have an Italian map, a map based in Italy. This is just Goldcrest Valley. We are standing out here on a field. I don't even know where we are. Doesn't really matter. First day of early spring. You can see it's 32 degrees outside, so it's a little cool. Soil temperatures are 45 degrees. You pull up the forecast, you see starting tomorrow we have some seriously warm temperatures for spring. As it clouds over here, I do have the time sped up. So let's take a look at this mod. This is by AgriGamer 15. This is north central Italy. This geo mod represents the climate of northern Italy, where in summer you can reach quite high temperatures, while in winter it often goes below freezing, with good snowfall possibilities. So, looks like in the wintertime you could have some cold temperatures and some snow, and the summers will be nice and warm. Pulling up the seasons, the first thing that stands out to me is how short the growing season of wheat, barley, and canola is. I mean, my goodness, you could be planting, well, also look at that. You could be planting wheat, barley, canola, sunflowers, potato, sugar beet, oilseed radish, poplar, grass. Does this one have sugarcane? right now, the first day of spring. No sugarcane. I think you can still plant it. I'm not so sure how that works. I believe you can still plant sugarcane. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, you have a lot of crops that you could be planting right now. Everything except two, soybeans and corn. But look at that. Let's see. If you planted wheat the first day of spring, you could harvest it the first day of summer, and you could turn around and plant soybeans. So you could easily do a double crop on this map very easily, I think. I've never played this. Wait, have I? I don't think I have. I can't remember. Maybe I have. But yeah, you have a lot of options on this map. This is kind of a cool setup here. I kind of like that. I will put the two up on the screen right now as I did before. Standard Seasons on the left, this Northern Italy on the right. I will do that right now. Okay, taking a look at these two, minimum temperatures are about the same. Matter of fact, they're identical. The only difference is that you're going to have much warmer temperatures in the spring, I think, to begin with, because here you are on the first day of spring in the Italy Geo, and you can be planting everything except sugar beets and corn. Or, I'm sorry, corn and soybeans. Excuse me, corn and soybeans. As we said, much earlier planting time. You can get a possibility of a double crop with this Northern Italy Geo. Oilseed radish, poplars, grass, they're pretty much standard. I don't think we have to go through much detail on that. Northern Italy, you have a much longer harvest time. Pretty much you got all of autumn from the beginning to the end. You look in there, and that would be potatoes. Is potato before sugar beets? Potatoes or sugar beets? You can start harvesting. I think it's potatoes. You can start harvesting much earlier, just after the 6th day of summer, with the Italy Geo compared to the standard one where you're starting the first day of fall. So yeah, so the Italy one is interesting. I find it surprising that it says that you have cold winters with lots of snow, but yet you have a pretty mild spring. So maybe the winter does not last as long as you would think with that. But there's a comparison of the two. Pretty interesting, especially if you look at the first three, wheat, barley, and canola. How early you can possibly harvest those crops on the Italy Geo. I mean, you are first day of summer, bam, you are harvesting. So that's why you can turn around and perhaps get a crop of, canola if you're really fast, but especially corn and soybeans, and get a double crop in that way. So that answers the double crop question. There it is. Let's get back to the video. So I don't know what else I could possibly say about that, but it looks interesting. Give it a shot. Check it out. Get a double crop. I just wish we had a Italian map. Isn't there the one that may be coming out sometime in the near future? I think. Hopefully that comes to council so we can check that out. The next one we're going to check out is the Paraguay Geo. I have Spectacle Island with that Geo up and running. So let's go visit the islands right now. Hey, welcome to Spectacle Island. This is where we're going to look at the Geo Mod Paraguay. Paraguay is basically just based on the weather data from, why can't I remember how to say this? Concepcion, I think, in Paraguay. Yeah, this is an interesting geo as well. I have used it on this map, Spectacle Island. I have, oh boy, well over 100 hours on this map. This is actually my game here with this map. But taking a look at the seasons thing, What I can tell you from this geo, and it's been around since Seasons came out. This is one of Realismus's geos. Is it's basically kind of, to me, one season. Is the feeling you get. Temperatures for the crops are about the same as the standard crops. And you would think with this mod that you could get 2 harvests in, but look at the difference here. With this geo, you're basically flip-flopping your planting and harvest season. So for wheat, for example, you are going to plant that in the autumn, and then you are going to harvest it in the springtime. So let's just say that you planted it in the autumn, the fall, and you harvested it beginning of spring. You could turn around and plant some other crops and get a second harvest. If you look at it that way, starting from the fall to the fall, you can get 2 harvests in it. You keep in mind that if you start this game in the spring and you think that you're going to start planting stuff in the spring, you're going to have nothing. It's not going to work. That is the mistake I made, and I wasn't paying attention to it. I think I was planting wheat right away in the spring, and it didn't work out. Also notice, look at corn. Look at the short, you start in the spring, you can plant it right away, but a very short window until you get to the winter time and you can plant it. Basically with just geo, you're not going to have a winter per se. You're not going to have a bunch of snowfall. You're not going to have really freezing temperatures. This is a great geo for sugarcane because you can plant and harvest that year round. Pretty neat. Yeah, this is an interesting geo. Also notice that you don't have sugar beet on this this geo. You have potatoes, but you do not have sugar beets. So what I'll do now is I'll put up the 2 screens, the 2 pictures up here, the 2 mods, the standard one and this one, and you can have a look at that. Okay, I think this is pretty easy to explain. On the left, you see the standard Seasons geo. On the right, you see the Paraguay geo. You can basically tell that you are going to have temperatures that will allow for planting year-round. I believe, because I've done this for 2 years, I think. But just keep in mind, it's kind of the opposite. You're going to do your planting in the fall for your wheat, barley, and canola, and you're going to harvest them in the springtime. For your soybeans and corn, you will plant them in the spring and harvest them in the fall. For your or at least for sunflowers and soybeans, you will plant in the spring and harvest in the fall. For your corn, you have a very small window to plant your corn. I mean, basically 3 days to get your corn planted. I have planted corn on this map. It does work. You just have to be on the ball right away in spring. Get your corn planted. For sugar beets and potatoes, you notice there's no sugar beets on this map. Potatoes is basically, well, where is the? We'll get back to the other map and look at the potatoes. You can see for oilseed radish, for your grass and your poplars, kind of all the same. That is basically year-round. So with this one, just keep in mind that for the wheat, barley, and canola, it is the opposite. So you will plant them in the fall. That is a mistake I mentioned that I made. But there you have it. There is kind of the difference. Big difference. Huge difference. But we'll get back to the video. So I don't know what else I can say about this. To me, it just kind of seems to be a summer all year kind of feeling I get after playing this. I think I've done 2 years. Why can't I jump over the fence? 2 years on this map. So yeah. So it's been a perfect geo for this map. Because it seems like you're always planting, you're always harvesting, you're always doing something with this map. Interestingly enough, I was just noticing that since the update, I do have random trees now in my crops. Because I look at I'm kind of curious. Look at the menu. Yeah, I've cut down 1,571 trees. Played 105 hours. So when they did the update, I ended up with some random trees coming back in the map. But that's not too bad. But yeah, this is a cool map. A cool geo for this map. I think it's the one that fits in the best. There are other maps that will do that as well. So, with that one done, let's go and take a look at Wales. I think Wales kind of gets overlooked a little bit, but let's take a look at that one. Okay, here we are on Oakfield Farm with the Wales Geo active. It is the first day of spring, of course. Kind of what I expected. Cloudy, moisture, no snow. I mean, this really looks good. I like this a lot. What the Wales Geo says is a mild, wet climate characterizes the weather of Wales with short amount of proper harvesting time and a lot of rainy days. You will have to plan carefully and work hard to keep your farm afloat. Wales is a geo mod for Season that stimulates farming in the Wales region. Yeah, the latest version of Seasons. Yep, okay. With this mod, it does say it added sugarcane, but there is no growth for that. I have used this a couple times, I think. One time I got snow, the other time I didn't, and it was very little. So I don't expect a lot of snow with this geo. Let's take a look. First thing I notice is temperatures are about the same as what they are with the standard seasons. I do notice that you can plant right away. First day of spring, you can go nuts with your wheat, barley, and canola, as well as your potatoes and sugar beets. In the fall, starting in the first day of autumn, you also have another long planting season as well. Soybeans and corn, you have a short planting with a relatively short harvest season. That kind of stands out. Keep in mind with oilseed, it's not year-round. As some other ones, you do have a planting and harvest window, as well as poplars. You have, well, looks like you can't plant poplars at the end of winter. Grass, look at that as well. That should, well, I guess we should understand that you can't really cut grass in the winter and the early spring, and no sugar cane. I want to look real quick to see if I can pick out any other comparisons to the standard one. Trying to think. Just the earlier time to get crops in the ground for certain crops stand out to me, and the longer planting season for the wheat, barley, and canola in the winter. Excuse me. Is basically kind of what the big differences I see compared to the standard one, but I will put both of them up side by side right now. Okay, let's take a look at two of these. First of all, let's look at the temperature. The minimum temperatures required are exactly the same for both these geos. You can just tell that this Wales geo, you're going to be able to start planting the first day of spring for your wheat, barley, canola, as well as your potatoes and sugar beets. Other than that, there is a longer harvest season available for your wheat, barley, and canola that we did see and did mention. But other than that, let's see, you do have a earlier harvest time for your potatoes. You can see that comes into midsummer, So that is available as there. Other than that, it looks like the poplars, the oilseed radish, and the grass are exactly the same. You do have a longer planting season, for your potatoes and sugar beets as well. So so that is an interesting geo. Just a few slight modifications. I think the big difference you'll see is in the wintertime, it's not going to get as cold, and it's certainly not going to get as snowy as some of the other mods are. But there you have it. There's that, and we'll get back to the video. Okay, so there you can kind of see the differences. Pretty interesting geo. I think with certain maps, this would be a good one to have. Seems a little challenging with the, according to the description, with a lot of moisture and the shortened amount of proper harvesting time. So you certainly don't want to put yourself in a bind with that. Okay, let's check out the U.S. Midwest geo next. Hey everyone, welcome back to Goldcrest Valley we are at now, to review or look at the U.S. Midwest Geo Mod. This is also by Realismus. This is the first day of early spring. It is 43 degrees outside with a soil temperature of 45 degrees. So we have a warmer soil temperature than we do air temperature. Let's take a look at the map, or not the map, the little seasons calendar here. As you can see, the first day of spring here, everything except soybeans and corn would be ready to plant. There is one big aspect to this geo mod that is attractive to people, is the idea of double cropping a year. So take wheat for example. I could go out right now and plant that in the first day of spring. I could possibly harvest it the first day of summer. Now I could turn around and I could still plant, well, technically I could probably still plant sunflowers, but I could also plant soybeans, corn, maybe even sugar beets right after that, and still be able to harvest them come the fall. So that is a big key to this this geo mod, is the ability to do that. You have an earlier planting season on those 4 crops: wheat, barley, canola, and potatoes. You have a much longer harvest season, I think. You have all of summer and then into autumn for wheat, barley, and canola. I believe sugar cane. I thought you could use sugar cane on this geo mod. Let me just pull it up. I was just reading about. it. And now I seem. Let's see. Where did it go? Here it is. It says that, do you want to experience farming in the productive soils of the U.S. known as the Corn Belt? Enjoy the weather and growth of one of the most intensely farmed regions in the world. Note that sugar beet does not grow in this part of the world. So I believe this is from the state of Missouri. I'm kind of backtracking here a little bit. Missouri does have a much different growing season than other parts of the Midwest, so please don't just take Midwest and say it includes all of Midwest, because that is entirely untrue. It does say sugar beets are not grown in part of this world, but I think you can certainly still plant them. They are listed here. But yeah, it's a pretty neat geo mod. My neck of the woods, we are in the North Midwest, you could say. We are totally the opposite. Well, I wouldn't say the opposite, but we are totally different than this geo mod, and we're only, well, 3 states away. So take it for what it is, but it's pretty cool. Yes, you can double crop on this mod. I will escape out of there, and I'll put both of them up side by side here so you can take a look at them. Alright, this is an interesting one. I like the Midwest Geo one. I just wish we had a good Midwest map. But temperature-wise, they are exactly the same as the standard Seasons Geo as required for soil temperature to be before planting. You're going to notice that your planting season is a lot earlier, as well as the harvest season for especially wheat, barley, and canola, where you can plant, harvest, plant, kind of all in a row. That allows you to double crop in a year. You could plant your wheat, harvest your wheat, turn around, and you could plant, you could plant your sunflowers, you could plant your corn, you could plant your soybeans, and maybe if you even got lucky, you could do sugar beets. But that is interesting. That is why a lot of people like this Geo. For that reason, you can get a double crop in. You can do that with Paraguay, and you could also do that with the Italy one as well. But this one pretty much defines that. It stands out. I mean, it's the best one for it, in my opinion. You have an extremely long planting season come midsummer to the fall for your wheat, barley, and canola. You have a much longer harvest season for your sunflowers, soybeans, corn, potatoes, and sugar beets as well. Look at that potato harvest time. I mean, it goes way in there to the beginning of the summertime. So that is pretty unique and pretty distinctive Geo. I'm just waiting for a perfect map for this one to play. Doesn't quite fit in with Woodshire, Oregon Springs. Not in that climate. If you want to get realistic, this is based, I think I said this, on Missouri. So the American Outback, the Who Dat, Who Their Ranch, that's more kind of Arizona, New Mexico territory to me. So we'll wait and see. But this is a cool Geo. Give it a shot. Try the double planting. I did. It works out great. Okay, back to the video. Alright, well that would take care of the Midwest. I think it's pretty, I think all you really need to do is just look at this and kind of get an idea of what the Geo mod is all about. Prices and stuff is going to fluctuate too as well, but be careful of that. That is just a projection, so you really won't know for sure until you complete the first full year of the seasons. I'm just curious if I would change. Oops. Okay, now it changes the weather. That it certainly does. But what am I doing here? I'm all confused. It doesn't really change the graph, so to speak. Just shorten the days a little bit. That is one interesting thing about seasons, and you got to be careful doing this when you do. When you have crops in the ground. If I turn on the forecast, you see that now I have 3 days of sunshine followed by a couple days of rain. If you go in, oops, I keep pushing the wrong button. I'm sorry about that. And now I want to change it to 9. It changes the forecast. So you can manipulate the forecast, but I keep doing that. I have had the problem where it will screw up crops that I have in the ground. So yeah, I know people have used it in the wintertime, especially if you have no snow in the forecast and you want a little bit of snow to change the days and then quickly change it back again, because it will change the forecast. But that's that. We're going to look at the last two on the list, two kind of very unique ones. The northern Sweden one is coming up. Welcome to the Arctic region. I am in Sanaska. Kind of what I thought would be the closest to this. Actually, if they had a Geo mod on my neck of the woods, it would feel right at home. Yeah, you betcha. I see. If I went outside right now, it would be 14 degrees out, and here it is 19 degrees. So this is northern Sweden, another geo mod by Realismus. Am I saying that? Realismus, yeah. This says, discover the colder climate of northern Sweden. Enjoy longer and harsher winters with snow and colder soil temperatures. Northern Sweden is a geomod that stimulates farming in subarctic regions. Okay, it says say that sugarcane was added, but of course you won't see any growth with it. This is going to be a lot of snow. This is going to be cold temperatures and a lot of snow. Yeah, the snow's pretty deep when you think about it here. Like I said, right now it's 21 degrees. It's warming up. I have time sped up. Soil temperature is 25 degrees and it is frozen. If we go into the seasons calendar, you can see that you're not going to be doing much until at least the 7th day of spring. Because it's going to take a long time for soil temperatures to rise and get to those temperatures. This would be a challenging one just because of the short seasons. Look at that. On 3-day seasons, you have 3 days to plant wheat, barley, canola, soybeans, corn, potatoes, sugar beet. I mean, 3 days. If you have a lot of land, you better get moving. Harvest time as well. Yeah, you have a little longer time, but like look at potatoes, for example. You know, very short period there. You can, you certainly don't have any double crop in a year. You could plant your wheat in late spring. You could harvest it, you know, and maybe get it planted again for the following year. You could possibly do that, as well as barley and canola. Like I said, there's sugarcane will not grow on this map. Grass even has a very short window. Poplars, well, your planting season is a lot shortened, but you can harvest it year round. Look at oilseed radish. That is a big difference. You certainly cannot harvest oilseed radish at certain times of the year. Your planting window is also very short. So yeah, so this would be a challenging one. You know, when this one came out, I thought it would be kind of close to my climate. But, you know, what is today? Today is April 3rd. We have so much snow on the ground that it would have to warm up in a big hurry here to be able to get any kind of planting done in the next couple weeks. I highly doubt that. So we're looking at late April, early May for planting season for us. So it's kind of like that. We have a small window here because our growing season is so much shorter. Like if we plant corn in our area, you see a lot of 90-day corn, 90-day maturity corn planted in our area because, well, we don't have a growing season long enough to do other crops like that. So yeah, this is an interesting one. I've never done this one, but if the right map comes out that kind of fits with it, it would be a fun one to do. Hopefully you'd have lots of stuff to keep you busy. A lot of forest areas to do. But just for because I will now put them up side by side, and you can take a look at the difference between the standard Seasons Geo and northern Sweden. Okay, well, let's do the last one, which is the fictitious one, Snowy Lands. That is pretty much what it says. It's going to be snow year-round, which is basically a non-crop one. But let's go check that out and see what it has to say. Welcome to South America. Yes, we are on Estancia Lapacho. And I know this makes absolutely no sense, but let's do it just because we can. We are standing in snow. It is 5 degrees outside, and the palm trees are swaying in the air. Yes, and we got our fancy little pink tree here. Very, very nice. This is Snowy Lands. This is fictitious. It says, it's time to take a break from farming and have a winter holiday. Then go to Snowy Lands. Snowy Lands is a geo mod that has eternal winter and high snow. Drive around in your truck or tractor, slipping over the roads, or draw snow circles. So that's what Snowy Lands is. I cannot imagine that it gets used very much unless you just wanted to continue to do Arctic logging, which that map would be great with this geo, because that is the whole point. I don't think I really have to go in here to talk about what goes on, because there you say nothing. Interestingly enough, that you see poplar here, you can harvest year-round, but you certainly cannot plant it. So that's kind of interesting. Yep, no sugarcane, of course. So that is Snowy Lands. You are not going to do any agricultural farming, arable farming, on this geo. If you like to blow snow, if you like to make snow angels, have snowball fights, then hey, go for it, because nothing else is going to happen. It is just going to be one complete snow mask. So yeah, so that pretty much sums up the geos that are available to console as of today, which is Tuesday, April 3rd. I believe there was some that maybe were up for testing. I guess I can't remember. I thought there was a couple maybe. I'm just looking. I don't think there was anything. No, nothing that I saw today. But yeah, this is pretty much what you're going to get. Each mod is a little different in the planting season, harvest seasons, growth, length of growth cycle. Temperatures, soil temperatures are going to change a little bit. You know, the amount of snow, if you get snow, if you don't get snow, you know, rain, the amount of precipitation. But once again, that is all random. You know, I think if you just want kind of an average geo, the standard one that comes with seasons is, you know, sufficient. If you want less, you know, maybe no snow with a lot of rain, the Wales one, of course, is a good option. If you want kind of a dry, little snow to no snow, double crop ability, the U.S. Midwest one is a good mod. The two new ones, the Bohemian and the Moravian one, I probably said that wrong, by Zed, those are pretty close to the standard geo, so that might be an option as well. Like the island one, the Paraguay one, that's kind of a summer year-round thing. So there are some options. Northern Italy, I guess I really haven't had much of a play with that one, so I guess I can't say much about that. But yeah, those are the season geos. All you have to do is just take a look at this page, the seasons calendar, kind of giving you an idea of what you're looking at. Like, you know, the Northern Sweden one, that is a challenging one. That would be a pretty cool one to try one time. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. I know it didn't cover much about seasons in general. I just wanted to cover the different mods, the geo mods, and talk a little bit about that. But if you did, give us a like. I would appreciate that immensely. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hey, please do that. That would be awesome. And, well, there you have it. From the frigid, snowy Estancia La Pancho, Farmer Man telling you, have yourself a great day and keep between the ditches. So long.